What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another episode of Yu-Gi-Oh's Biggest Issue. This week's episode is actually going to be a bit of an interesting one, because with Amazing Defenders being released today, right this moment, I figured I would do a sort of a quick review of the set and give you guys my thoughts on it, and let you guys know whether or not you guys should actually buy the set, buy the boxes, the cases, or whatever, or just get the singles, or just not even bother with it at all. So with this set, before we even get started with the video, if you guys enjoyed the video and you guys want to see more episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh's Biggest Issue, which get posted every Friday, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, follow me on all of my social media. Links will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And if you guys notice, yeah, I got gloves on. It's not because of the fact that my hands are cold, it's just the fact that my hands are dry, and by putting on my gloves, my hands will sweat a little bit, and my hands won't be as dry. So I do apologize for that. But this set, let's get straight into it. So I've already talked about all the cards that are in the set. So what I'm gonna do is just basically review each of the new cards. Excuse me. And just give you guys my take on the set. There are reprints as always, but the reprints might shock you. So first up we have, so obviously there are 3 archetypes in this set. There's the Rescue Ace archetype. There's the Purely archetype, which funny enough is based off of the entire Evolution line, which is hilarious. And then you've got the Makanko archetype. So for the Rescue Ace archetype, first up we have Rescue Ace Impulse, which is basically the Fiendish Chain for the whole deck, and it also has another effect that reads that if your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, which this one is a quick effect, you can basically send this card from your hand or face up field to your graveyard and summon any Machine Rescue Ace monster that you may have at your disposal from your deck, which is pretty cool. So it's not too bad. This is more of a combo extender, where as opposed to the Rescue Ace Hydrant, which I'll talk about a little bit more. Hydrant is more of the combo starter, if you will. So it's not that good. Then of course you have Rescue Ace Airlifter, which this is one of the main combo starters for the whole deck. Just like Hydrant, this is also a combo starter. So this is basically your spell trap Rhoda, where if Airlifter were to be normal or special summon, you can add any Rescue Ace spell from your deck to your hand, and if your opponent were to activate a monster effect, basically it's the exact same thing as Impulse, where you can summon any Rescue Ace monster from your hand. So it's it has sort of a Cyber Dragon based effect, if you will, which is pretty nice. Then of course we've got Rescue Ace Monitor. This card, I believe this is the Trap Rhoda. Yeah. So this is the Trap Rhoda, which is kind of okay. Obviously there are some decks in the format that don't let you run traps, but this is one that is kind of okay. Then of course we've got Rescue Ace Hydra, which this is basically your Stratos for the whole deck. That's all there is to it. It's pretty cool. Then of course we got the 3 boss monsters. So we got Fire Attacker, Fire Engine, and Turbulence. Fire Attacker has the effect where if a Rescue Ace monster were to be normal or special summon to your field, except this card, except during the damage step, of course, then you can automatically Cyber Dragon this card from your hand. And if any cards were to be added to your opponent's hand, except by drawing them, basically you get a graceful charity where you draw 2 and you discard 1. So it's a mini graceful charity, but with a Cyber Dragon effect, which is pretty cool. Fire Engine is kind of an okay card. So Fire Engine has an interesting effect where it's not its first effect, because the first effect is basically the same as Fire Attacker. It's the second effect that makes all the difference, because if a monster were to be special summoned to your opponent's board, basically you get to Cyber Rev System any 4-star or lower Rescue Ace monster from your hand deck or graveyard. So it's more of a Cyber Rev System than pretty much anything else, which is okay. Turbulence is basically the ultimate boss monster, where in order to special summon this card from your hand, you have to banish two Rescue Ace cards from your graveyard, which you can banish. In which you can banish pretty much any 2 cards, and he gets summoned. And the best part is that its second effect reads you can set up to 4 Rescue Ace quick play spells or normal traps with different names directly from your deck, which is pretty cool. So and it also has a destruction effect where if another card that you have that you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, then you can target a card on the field and destroy. So this is sort of like your board breaker for the whole deck, which is kind of okay. Then of course you got your spells and traps. So you have Rescue Ace HQ, which is basically your field spell. The field spell is kind of decent. It's not that good. It does give you a second normal summon, but the downside is that it can easily just get wiped out by not just by every spell and trap removal card in the game, but pretty much any card that can prevent spells from being activated. So y'all gotta be careful with that. So it's okay. It's an okay card. Then of course we have Rescue, which this is basically your Monster Reborn for the whole deck. Alert is basically Rhoda for the whole deck, which is really nice. Contain has a bit of a weird effect, where it's basically Fiendish Chain slash Dimensional Barrier, where pretty much any monster that you have that any one of your opponent's monsters that you target cannot attack. It has its effects negated, and it can't be used as material for a fusion, synchro, exceed, or a link. So it's again, it's Fiendish Chain, Dimensional Barrier rolled into one card, which is pretty crazy. Then of course we've got Extinguish, which is basically basically your board breaker for the whole deck, which is really nice. Then of course we got the Purely. So we got Purely, which is basically the start of the whole show. Then of course for the Exceeds monsters we got Purely. We have F Purely Happiness, Beauty, Plump, Happiness. Oh, X Purely Happiness and X Purely Noir, which basically is similar to the Eevee and its evolution line. That's basically it. So each of the Pureleys has each of the Exceeds monsters has their own unique effect. Where F Purely Happiness has the effect where if she battled, you can basically just Stratos out any Purely card from your deck to your hand, which is pretty nice. Beauty has a sort of a very weird Fiendish Chain effect, which is kind of okay. Plump has sort of like a numbers overlay boost effect, and you guys are wondering, wait a minute, what the fuck is that? Well, numbers overlay boost is an old Zexal card that lets you target two. If I remember correctly, I think it lets you target 2 cards in your graveyard and attach them to a number that you have that they have on board as the material. This card basically does that, but instead you target up to 2 spells or traps in both graveyards. So it's either yours, so it can be from your graveyard, your opponent's, or you can mix and match. Which honestly is kind of a cool one, because by doing this, it gives you access to summon Zeus, which is hilarious. And then of course you got the X Purely. So X Purely Happiness basically with X Purely Happiness and Noir, you can use Plump to go into one of these two, and then you can instantly go into Zeus from there, which is really nice. Then of course we got the field spell Stray Purely Street. This is basically basically the card that can allow you to summon out Purely from the deck or graveyard onto the board, which is really nice. My friend Purely basically lets you is basically your continuous pot of duality, which is okay at the cost of 500 life points. Is it worth it? It depends on what your opponent adds to your hand. To be honest, it just depends. Purely Happy Memory, I believe this is the one that lets you special summon Purely from the deck. Yeah, basically that, and I believe it can let you attack multiple times, I believe, which is pretty cool. Purely Pretty Memory, I believe, is the one that gives both players 1,000 life points, and then applies one of the effects where it says that once per turn you can send one other card you control to the grave, target a card your opponent controls, and attach it to this card as material. But it only works if you have an Exceeds monster, which is pretty crazy. Delicious Memory, I believe, has the effect where if this card were to have and a purely Xyz monster, as if this card were to be attached to a purely Xyz monster, it gains the effect where it gains 300 attack and defense for each material attached to it, which is pretty cool. That's pretty nuts. Then of course you got purely Yeep, I believe how it's pronounced. This card, all it does, it just lets you go from plump to either X purely happiness or X purely noir, which is pretty cool. Then of course we got the Makanko archetype. So we've got Hari, the Sword Makanko, which basically I think this is the what's this one? I believe this is the one where it says that let's see. If this card is not equipped with an equipped card, you take no damage from battles involving this card. If this card is equipped with an equipped card, it cannot be destroyed by battle, and your opponent takes any battle damage you would have taken from battles involving this card. If an equipped card becomes equipped to this card, you can add one Makanko equipped spell from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. So okay, so this is basically spell trap rota for the equip spells, which is pretty cool. So basically, you can take any equip spell, even Mage Power. Mage Power can actually work with this deck, which is kind of crazy. Then we've got Nini, the Mirror Makanko, which I believe this is the one that lets you basically Thousand Eyes restrict one of your opponent's monsters. Yeah, basically this card basically is Thousand Eyes restrict on a 3-star normal summon, which is pretty insane. Then of course we've got Ohime, the Manifested Makanko. This is basically your ritual. This is the ritual monster, and it can only be summoned off of the effects of Makanko Kagura, and it cannot be destroyed by battle, nor can you take any damage. But your opponent takes all the damage instead involving this card. And it also has the effect where you can reveal this card in your hand, add one Makanko card from your deck to your hand, except this card, and then you're able to discard one card. And it also has a quick effect where you can target any equipped spell in your grave and equip it to one appropriate monster on the field. So if you have, let's say, cards such as like Mage Power or United We Stand, you can take one of those, equip it to pretty much any monster you have on board, and you're basically gonna have quite the beat stick on board, which is pretty nasty. Then of course for the spells of the entire archetype, we've got Heavenly Gate of the Makanko. This is basically this is the effect where it says, let's see, while you control a monster that is equipped with an equipped card, all monsters your opponent controls that can attack must attack monsters equipped with equipped cards with equipped cards. If your Makanko monster battles your opponent, if your Makanko monster battles, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. At the end of the damage step, if your Makanko monster attacked, you can send one equipped card you control to the grave. It can make another attack on a monster in a row. Okay, so this basically gives one of your Makanko monsters basically the effect of Cyber Twin Dragon, where it can attack twice, which is pretty nuts. Then of course we got the Great Makanko Ceremony. This is basically the basically one of the ways that you can summon Ohime right off the bat, which is pretty nuts. Not much else to say about that. Then for the equip spells, we got we've got sorry guys, you guys already know what's up. Really? No more water? Man. So for the equip spells, we got Mekongo Fire Dance, which this card lets you special summon Okay, so basically this is this card is basically cyber ref system, but in the form of an equip spell, which is pretty nuts. So it lets you so not only that, but by equipping this card to that monster, you're also allowed to special summon a monster from your opponent's graveyard to their field, but with their effects negated. So if you wanted to, you can target, let's say, a Linkuriboh and just attack for game right there, which is pretty nuts. And then of course, too, the equipped monster cannot be destroyed by card effects, which is pretty crazy. Then of course we got Mekongo Purification Dance, which I believe this is the one that lets you compulse a monster to your opponent's hand, right? Yeah, basically it's a compulse, which is pretty cool. Hang on, guys. I know it's a 2-liter Mountain Dew. I know. Since I have no water in my cup, this is like the this is basically the next best option. There we go. Okay, so that's gone down for now. So I believe. Okay, yeah. So Purification Dance basically can compulse monsters that your opponent may have to their board, which back into their hand, which is really nice. Then we've got Mekongo Water Arabesque, which I believe has a much more different effect compared to Purification Dance. So its effect reads: the equipped monster cannot be destroyed by card effects during the main phase. You can special summon one Mekongo monster from your hand or deck with a different original name than the equipped monster if you do equip it with this card. Then return the monster that was previously equipped with this card to the hand. So it's sort of like Purification Dance, but just a little bit different, if you will. Then of course we've got Reflection Rondo. I believe Rondo it has sort of like a. I believe that this card can only be equipped to an opponent's monster, and while you have a Mekongo monster on board, you're able to. So Rondo is basically Snatch Steal. That's all. It's basically Snatch Steal, which is insane. Not much else to say about that. Then of course we've got Mekongo Kagura, which is basically the card to summon Ohime, which is pretty nuts, and also has another effect where if you do summon Ohime, then Kagura gives Ohime another effect that reads destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of equipped spells with different names in your graveyard, and if you do, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent for each card destroyed. Yeah. So basically, if you have 8 cards in 8 equipped spells with different names in your grave, and you're able to destroy 8 cards that your opponent has, guess what? Lethal 8,000 damage to the face. Then of course we got the trap. So we've got Mikako Promise, which I believe has the effect. Let's see what this does. Special summon one Mikako monster from your hand or deck. Then you can equip it with one equip spell from your hand or grave that can equip to that monster. Banish that monster when it leaves the field. Ooh, excuse me. So yeah, basically this is the card that lets you just automatically Cyber Dragon a Mikako monster from your hand, give it an equip spell, and just go try and go for game right there. Mikako Rivalry has the effect where it says that if you control a Mikako monster, target one face-up monster on the field, equip it with one equip spell from your deck that can equip to it. If let's see here, if an equip spell is sent to the grave, while this card is in your grave, you can banish this card, target one equip spell in your grave, add it to your hand. So this sort of has a weird sort of a weird return of the Dragon Lord's effect, but without the protection, which is kind of sad. But now for the reprints. But you guys are wondering, what are the reprints? Probably some of the worst ones you could think of. So for the reprints, we have Gizmek, Naganaki, the Sunrise Signaler, which I think this works with the Rescue Ace archetype, if I'm right on that. Then we got Infernoble Knight Renaud, Reinforcement of the Army, 1-for-1, Hidden Armory, Infernoble Arms Durandal, which Durandal is not bad. It's not too bad. Not too bad of a card. We have Double-Edged Sword. Let's see what that does. You can only control one Double-Edged Sword. The equipped monster gains 2,000 attack. Both players take any battle damage from attacks involving the equipped monster. If you take 2,000 or more battle damage, send this card to the grave. Oh, oof, that's pretty bad. Excuse me. Ooh, excuse me. Let's see here. Xyz Import, Xyz Tribal Rivals. I've never heard of that card before. Face-up Xyz monsters on the field with 2 or more materials cannot be destroyed by card effects. After damage cal, if your Xyz monster battles an opponent's monster, while this card is already face-up in your spell and trap zone, destroy that opponent's monster. That Xyz monster must have 2 or more materials attached to activate and resolve this effect. Wow. Okay, so this is basically a board breaker, so that's pretty cool. Card Trooper, our Protector Dragon, which is kind of an odd reprint. Because we haven't seen that card in years, and I'm not so sure if it will be useful in today's meta. I don't think so. Gizmek, Orochi, the Serpentron Sky Slasher, Immortal Phoenix Gearfree, Infernoble Knight Roland, Saravis, the Ancient and Ascended. What does the card do? Let's see. With Sprite's Blessing, when your opponent... Try and catch my breath here. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a monster you control, you can discard this card, negate the activation. When your opponent would special summon a monster as a quick effect, you can return this card to the hand, negate the special summon, and banish that monster. It has a nice little bottomless trap hole, so it's not too bad. Assault, 2 Tails of the Noble Knights, Limiter Removal, Machine Duplication, Preparation of Rites, Overlay Regen, Sprite's Blessing, Sacred Scrolls of the Gizmek Legend, Prairie Ride Map, and Xyz Reborn. That's basically the full set. My thoughts on it: is this set even worth it? No. I'm telling you guys right now, it is not worth it, because from what I've seen in previous opening videos, the only cards that are even worth it as far as the reprints go in collector rare are Card Trooper and 1-for-1. Those are like the only ones. But the problem is that but the biggest problem is that the reprints are just so bad. They're just so bad. Like if they were to reprint cards like Mage Power and cards like United We Stand over cards like Double-Edged Sword and also Armed Protector Dragon, then I could definitely see people just buying cases and cases of the set to try to go for it. But I'm being honest here. Don't ever buy it. Do not get it, guys. It is not worth it. You guys will be very, very disappointed, guys. Trust me. I mean, don't get me wrong. The 3 archetypes, they're good. They are really good. It's the reprints that worry me the most because of the fact that there we go. Yeah. There we go. Anyway, because of the fact that the Gizmags, Orochi, that's one thing I can understand Gizmag Orochi, because Orochi is just a fucking house. So I can totally see it, but Naganaki, not the best. Not the best. Everything else, they're okay. They're okay reprints, but do I recommend getting this set? No, I do not. I do not recommend it. It's not worth it. Do not buy it, guys. It's no. The reprints, more than 80% of these reprints are bad. Like the only reprints in this set that are good are Machine Tube, Limited Removal, Assault, Immortal Phoenix Gearfried, Gizmag Orochi, Card Trooper, Exceeds Import, Infernal Arms Durandal, 1-for-1, Rhoda, the Rhoda, and the Infernal Knight Renat. Everything else sucks. So it's not worth it. It is not worth it. Trust me, guys, do not buy it. But that brings me to the question of the day, which is this. Which among the 3 archetypes that are here in the set, which one are you looking forward to playing the most? Let me know down in the comments below, and that will do it for this week's episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. And as always, if you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh's Biggest Issue, which get posted every Friday, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, follow me on all my social media. Links will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.